Republic of Malawi is a landlocked country in southern Africa that was formerly known as Nyasaland. It is bordered by Zambia to the west, Tanzania to the north and northeast, and Mozambique to the east, south and southwest. Malawi spans over about 120 km per square feet and has an estimated population of 90 million. Malawi's capital and largest city is Lilongwe. The name Malawi comes from the Marawi, an old name for the Jawa people who inhabit the area. Malawi remains one of the world's most undeveloped countries. The top export of Malawi are raw tobacco, tea and raw sugar. Malawi exporting mostly to Belgium, United States and Egypt. For the import, Malawi import postage stamp, petroleum and packaged medicament. Malawi importing mostly from South Africa, China and UAE. Officially, Malawi kwacha is the currency of Malawi as of 1971, replacing the Malawi pound. It is divided into 100 tambala or a rate of 2 kwacha to 1 pound. The kwacha replaced other type of currency, namely the British pound sterling, the South African rand and the Rhodesian dollar that had previously circulated through the Malawian economy. Currently, 1 kwacha equal to 0.012 USD.
Four factors in our study affecting the exchange rate of Malawi are money supply, term of trade, GDP growth, and degree of openness. Next, we move to the exchange rate of Malawi. As you can see, the Malawi currency, which is Malawian kwacha, was continuously depreciated compared to USD from 1991 to 2020. Malawian kwacha also depreciated drastically from 2012 until 2016, which is from 156.52 to 710.15. It is because the economy in Malawi continuously declined and the government or central bank are not effective in intervening the exchange rate.
Next, I will explain about the empirical evidence. So, for the first one is descriptive statistic of Malawi for 30 years. Based on the descriptive statistic, we can see that the highest mean is term of trade with 102.587. Meanwhile, for the lowest mean is from GDP growth with 4.100. And also, the highest and the lowest of standard deviation is also from term of trade and GDP growth with 16.382 and 5.101 respectively. Next, the correlation. Any statistical association between two random variables is referred to as correlation. Correlation can refer to any statistical link, but it most commonly relates to the degree to which two variables are linearly related. Based on the table, the value of the correlation of the term of trade and openness related to the exchange rate is 0.0213 and 0.352 respectively. It is considered as a positive correlation. We can say that if the term of trade and openness of Malawi increases, the exchange rate of Malawian kwacha is also increasing. The value for money supply is negative 0.416, while for GDP growth is negative 0.022. These both factors have a negative correlations with the exchange rate of Malawian kwacha. We can say that if money supply and GDP growth increases, the exchange rate of Malawian kwacha is decreasing. The last one is multiple regression. In model summary, the value for arc square is 0.277. It means that the term of trade, openness, money supply and GDP growth account for about 27.7% of the Malawian kwacha exchange rate. The value of adjusted arc square is 0.161. It indicates that 16.1% of the variation exchange rate variability. The independent variable explains the dependent variable only marginally. The second one is coefficients. On coefficients, we can see term of trade, GDP growth and openness are not significant variables in explaining the variation in exchange rate of Malawi kwacha, since the p-value for the f-test is more than the level of significant, which is more than 0.05. So only money supply that significant because the value is less than 0.05. The last one is ANOVA. The p-value for the f-test is 0.077, which is less than the level of significance. Therefore, the null hypothesis is rejected. This means that the money supply, term of trade, GDP growth and openness is statistically significant variables in explaining the variations in the exchange rate of Malawian kwacha.
Based on project analysis, the determination of Malawi exchange rate against USD has been examined. The factors affecting the Malawi exchange rate are money supply, term of trade, GDP growth, and trade openness. Based on this analysis, the highest mean for the Malawi is term of trade and the lowest is GDP growth. For the standard deviation for all the independent variables, money supply, term of trade, GDP growth, and openness are 14.85, 16.38, 5.10, and 15.90 respectively. Lastly, on finding analysis, we can conclude term of trade, GDP growth, and openness are not significant variable in explaining the variation in exchange rate Malawi Kwacha, since the p-value for the f-test is more than level of significance, which is more than 0.05. For the value of correlation, term of trade and trade openness relate to the exchange rate, which is 0.0214 and 0.3521 respectively. It is considered as positive correlation, and we can explain that if the term of trade and openness increase, the exchange rate of Malawi Kwacha also increase. The value for money supply is negative 0.4, while for the GDP growth is negative 0.02. Thus, both of the factors show the negative correlation with the exchange rate. We can conclude that if the money supply and GDP growth increase, the exchange rate of Malawi Kwacha will be decreased. That's all from our group. Thank you.